He has many forms. His fingers can transform into serpents. He can be of either sex. He can assume the head of a different creature. He can have fins. He can have wings. He can be many things. A shape-shifting god, the first son of the sea god Poseidon. His name is Proteus. Imagine a human being that can take many forms. Part or parts of them have a mind of their own, and they will grow and change their shape uncontrollably. Proteus syndrome. An exceedingly rare disorder characterized by overgrowth of various tissues of the body. Joseph Merrick, aka the Elephant Man, is perhaps the most well-known sufferer of this rare sporadic non-hereditary condition. His sad life was a tumultuous journey of prejudice, suffering, compassion, and the ultimate attainment of self-reconciliation. He passed away the night when he tried to sleep like a normal person. Proteus syndrome is an exceedingly rare medical condition that is unlikely to be encountered by a medical practitioner during their career. Nevertheless, I have personally observed a case of this condition, albeit not in a human subject, but in a rhesus monkey. The story began on one overcast day in February 2024. Yes, it happened only about 8 months ago. As usual, I visited Monkey Hill just after 3:30 p.m. Things usually quieten down a bit at this time of the year. Having said that, it was an unusually quiet day. There were very few monkeys around. It's not until after the second pavilion that I saw what resembled possibly a small scouting group of monkeys. Stop! Did you not notice something strange there? There. There is something wrong with this little monkey's left hand. Actually, its feet seem a tad too big too. Those fingers were like little tubers. I wonder whether he could use them at all. The toes were also bigger than they should be. The right hand seemed normal though. I was wondering whether he was born with those deformities. This juvenile must be around 3 years of age. How well could he mobilize with those huge fingers and toes? His left hand alone must weigh as much as his head. He was climbing all right though, it turned out. It's a male, I could tell. So his deformities are a hugely enlarged left forearm and hand, an enlarged left foot and leg, though to a lesser extent. And the same applies to his right foot and leg. And those enlarged appendages weren't impeding his mobility yet. He was edgy though, he couldn't fend for himself with that huge left hand. And it had to be hard work dragging those extra weights. With fingers so grossly swollen, he probably had lost the crucial ability of his left hand to pincer grasp. Indeed, he could only use his left hand like a panda's. The thumb looked so misshapen and useless, it worked like a pseudo-thumb. And look at his right palm, see those huge skin folds? The same on his left sole and right sole. Those skin folds are called cerebriform connective tissue nivae, as they resemble the appearance of the surface of a cerebrum. Cerebriform connective tissue nivae are exclusively associated with Proteus syndrome. This juvenile male rhesus is afflicted with a medical condition akin to Proteus syndrome in human beings. This juvenile male rhesus is fortunate that the condition is only limited to his limbs, as in many of the human cases. In its generalized form, with uncontrolled and excessive growth of multiple tissues throughout the body, like Joseph Merrick's, this juvenile male would not have survived that far, as he would not be able to forage. In essence, his survival all boils down to the growth rate of those parts of his body affected by this condition. My guess is that his condition didn't manifest itself until after he had been weaned, or else he would have died during infancy, as he would not be able to nurse. But there would be a time when his deformities would render him immobile, as the tissues are left to grow uncontrollably. And then he's gone. And the only thing I knew about this young juvenile male was that he was likely from Nulla Troop. And I hadn't stumbled across him for another 8 months. During that time, I thought he might have succumbed to his condition. If the unbridled growth of those 3 limbs persisted, it would lead to his imprisonment by them. But it just so happened that last week that our path crossed once again. As I was looking for our gang, but in vain. On my way back though, I bumped into someone familiar. Remember him? That's Daffy. Aggie's son, born in 2021. That's Daffy when he was only a month old or so. He was also born with an right infantile inguinal hernia. There. But it disappeared just after he turned a year old. So it appears he has just been ousted from his natal troop. Just like most boys do eventually, albeit a bit young, just around 3 years old. But the good news is that he seems to have found himself a place in a boy band. So which troop is this boy band affiliated to? And just as I was about to find out, there he was, the boy with Proteus syndrome. So Daffy is now a member of the boy band. This boy with Proteus syndrome belongs to. So he was never a member of Nulla Troop. Rather, he has been trying to get accepted into it. Just like all the ousted boys here. There has been an observable increase in the size of his left hand since our initial encounter 8 months ago, albeit only by approximately 20%. So far his condition is still compatible with life. He just has to work a lot harder than others. His scrotum also appears large for his age. My guess is that the condition is also affecting the soft tissue of his scrotum and is making his sac disproportionately huge and misshapen like his hands and feet. One of the regular casual feeders. You can see his right hand has now been reduced to be a mere strut for him. Dragging those enlarged and misshapen dead weights on him around, this boy will need more calories than others. He is fortunate that he's been left with one functional hand. I wanted to slip him something without getting him into trouble. It wasn't going to be easy. But it was getting darker and darker, and it had almost become pitch dark where he was sitting. No one saw it. Ousted boys and their bands are difficult to spot. His case is a testament to this. I just wonder when I will bump into him again. Let's pray that his condition will remain at a manageable growth rate for him. This is not an inherited condition. Instead, a cell in the early stages of embryonic development has acquired a mutation in a critical gene related to cell growth. All its descendant cells will carry that faulty gene consequently, leading to abnormal soft tissue growth later in life. And in this poor boy's case, those cells carrying this faulty gene has ended up in 3 of his limbs, and by the look of it, his lower abdominal wall, including his scrotum. Unfortunately, there is currently no known cure for this condition. Although he has made it that far, my prognosis for him remains very guarded. Those tissues derived from that mother cell with a faulty gene are a slow ticking time bomb. And if the ticking mechanism decides to go haywire, this poor boy will not live for long. However, his case is not as hopeless and heartbreaking as the case of a rhesus baby with a possibly inherited condition that I witnessed in 2018. That baby boy's condition is incompatible with a life in the wild.